Brian Dreber, along with Daytona 200 winner David Sadowski. Beautiful conditions here. The fog staying out over the ocean. This is a great racetrack. Ski, take us for a quick lap.
Hey, if you haven't seen Laguna Seca from an onboard camera, you're in for a real treat. 11 turns, 2.2 miles, and it's just full of elevation changes off camber. Here we are up the front straightaway into top gear, up over the crest of turn 1. It's a blind rise. You never know what to expect on the other side, and you're always holding your breath. Hard braking and 4 downshifts, that'll get you set up for turns 2 and 3. Turns 4 and 5, it's a flat rolling off camber turn. The front end pushes all the way out to the gravel. You're leaned over here up into 4th gear, 5th gear, and here's where the elevation starts to come into play. Up through 5 and 6 and heading up into the corkscrew, turns 7, 8, and 8A. One of the most challenging parts of this Laguna Seca track. If you try to make time through this section, you're going to wind up on your head. Just make it through there safe. Don't try to make up a whole lot of time. Get down through Rainy Curve and into turn 10. The second most crucial part of this circuit is turn 11. It's hard braking, 1st gear turn before a 200-yard dash for cash to the finish line. It's real flat. You have to hit your apex. The track narrows at the exit. Watch the tack, 14,000 RPM through every gear you got, and there you have a lap, a flyer at Laguna Seca.
A quick lap around one of the most famous racetracks in the world that includes probably the most famous sequence of turns. Let's take a look at the starting grid for this one. Pascal Picotte on his factory Suzuki. Pole sitter alongside teammate Aaron Yates, Mike Smith on the Kawasaki, and Jamie Hacking, a pair of them on row number 1.
Heading up row 2 is Rich Oliver with an impressive ride on his 600 Yamaha. Crevier, Matt Waite, and Miguel Duhamel, 2nd row.
Hamill crashed in qualifying, had to go out on his backup bike. Row 3, Eric and Ben Bostrom, the brothers on their Hondas. The younger one out qualifying the older one. Jason Pridmore on his Suzuki and Tom Kipp on the Yamaha.
Row 4 still loaded with factory 600 riders. Andrew Stroud, Mark Miller, Todd Harrington, and Tommy Hayden on the Muzzy Kawasaki.
James Randolph inside of row number 5. Now we start to look at many of the privateer riders who will fill up the starting grid. 10 rows, 4 riders each, 40 riders qualified for this one. A very important round on the undercard of the World Superbike event, and that is why you see so much activity in the infield. All the factories here displaying their wares for the thousands upon thousands of fans who have gathered for this race, specifically for this weekend, and they're getting a bonus, the 600 Supersport race, as part of the exciting weekend of World Superbike. The track is empty right now. The riders and teams making their final preparations in anticipation of this race. Right now, though, let's go to Larry Myers for our MMI race setup.
This MMI race setup tip comes to us from the Smokin' Joe Honda pit, courtesy of Al Luddington, who builds the motorcycles for Miguel Duhamel. 600cc Supersport, severely limited in what you can do to the bikes. However, I know you make some suspension adjustments.
Yeah, suspension adjustments count for most of our changes. You can change the gearing, you can change the jetting, but suspension's where it's at.
Let's start with the front fork, Al.
Fork's got to remain stock as it came on the motorcycle, but you can make internal adjustments, including spring rates, rebounding compression valving, oil level, oil weight, things like that.
And the rear suspension, you can go to an aftermarket product.
Yeah, you can go to an aftermarket shock absorber. We prefer the Penske. It has a lot of adjustability, high-speed compression, low-speed compression, rebound, and obviously a wide range of springs, and it works very well for us.
Hey, if it works very well for Al and Miguel, it ought to work for you.
A Championship Road Racing is brought to you by Cycle World, the world's largest, world's best motorcycle magazine. Honda, between now and July 31st, you can get a great deal on a great bike during the Honda Ride-Off. Honda, walk in, ride off. Kawasaki Motorcycles. Call 1-800-661-RIDE for a dealer near you. And by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. The riders are down on the starting grid, getting ready for this one here at Laguna Seca Raceway, 600 Supersport Racing. Pole sitter is Pascal Picotte. Back on row number 2, Miguel Duhamel, the points leader. Let's go to Larry Myers.
Guys, anytime Miguel Duhamel qualifies in the number 8 position, obviously there's been a problem. Practice crash is what happened to him. He has bad ribs, and he suffered a severe blow to the head, and that did hurt his qualifying effort. Whether or not he's recovered well enough to win this is remains to be seen.
Well, one thing about Miguel, anytime adversity stares him in the face, he seems to rise to the occasion. So we would expect that he'll be on a mission here today. That get off over in turn 10 was pretty tough on him. He said it was just kind of a lapse of concentration, and he had to crawl off the racetrack. They took him over to the doctors, checked him out, and he was technically okay. Whether he's really okay, as Larry says, remains to be seen. Great start out of the Kawasaki. Mike Smith launching it off the line there. Here comes Picott and Yates around the outside, though. Let's see who gets into turn 2 in first spot. It is Smith.
Jamie Hacking, the other Kinko's teammate there on the inside. He's going to be able to hold the third spot. I tell you what, though, Duhamel and everything that's happened to him.
Oh, we got a rider down out there.
Right in the middle of the racetrack there outside of turn 2. Good eye there, Brian.
Everybody else looking pretty good, though. A whole gaggle of 600s now, bending it into turn 4, and this is Brian Perriott. California rider, had a tough year last year. Broken collarbone really interrupted his season. Looks like he's okay after this one, though. Tough break there in that swarm at the start of the race.
Mike Smith getting gobbled up by a pair of Yoshimura Suzuki's. Looked like it was Aaron Yates getting ready to try to pull off the disappearing act. It was Yates, then Picott, then Smith up into the corkscrew entrance.
Aaron Yates, Milledgeville, Georgia. This guy has been on a tear this year, both in 600 and in Supersport racing. Of course, his win at Loudon negated by the yellow flag incident that we have elaborated on more than once. Pascal Picott running in second spot, but Yates, give him a little bit of distance and look out.
We've also elaborated on the fact that Aaron Yates runs at about 180 pounds in his leathers and helmet. These other guys average about 145 pounds. It's real crucial in this 600 class. For every 8 pounds is equal to 1 horsepower. So Yates has given up about 4 horse at least.
Which he often makes up in the corners because of his very aggressive riding style. There are the Bostrom brothers. A little glance at them. And now Matt Waite, who started back on row 2 alongside Miguel Duhamel, running up with the leaders. Tom Kipp just behind him. Here we are on board with Ben Bostrom, looking forward at a lot of riders. Did not get the best start, but he'll be pedaling up through the field. And really, his story in 600 racing has been one of kind of misfortune. In 750 Supersport, he's sitting second in points on his 600, but in the 600 class, he's struggling.
A lot of factory bikes in this class, Brian. That makes the difference. The 750 class is kind of been left open to the privateer riders and the satellite, not directly factory supported riders. So I think that's what's making up the difference here in Ben's championship chase in both the 750 and the 600. 600's a whole lot tougher.
On the zero gravity machine, Ben Bostrom running in 9th spot, looking forward at Tom Kipp. Ben's gotten around his brother. Eric out-qualified him come race time, though. Ben's usually right there. Down the corkscrew, oh man.
I was going to say, both of them still got the major butterflies, their first full season with the factory scouts eyeballing their every move.
We'll be back at Laguna in a moment. 600 racing continues.
Road there, he signaled to his crew he wants to know what type of interval he has over third place. Little hand gesture back. He'll be able to pick that information up the next time by.
And when he comes by, they'll be able to tell him it's the number 68 of Mike Smith, the Canton, Georgia rider aboard his Kawasaki. And in 4th, it is Miguel Duhamel up from his number 8 start position.
Duhamel reeling in Mike Smith right now. It'll take a few laps for him to get things loosened up, especially if he has a fractured rib or something. Usually it takes about 3 laps of a steady flow of adrenaline to get in there and work that pain out.
Mike Smith having a good run here. Of course, he is one of the winningest riders in 600 Supersport. Had a great run a few years ago, picking up 13 career wins. So he's second on the all-time list. Mike Smith on his Kawasaki chasing the 2 leaders down the corkscrew. This has got to be fun, Ski.
It is, Brian. Even the guys that come over from World Superbike say there's no series of turns, no section of pavement in the whole world that's like the corkscrew.
There's Miguel Duhamel, a good look at the points leader and defending champion, number 1, coming down the corkscrew behind Smith. Smith in 3rd right now. If he stays there, would up his best performance of the year by 1. He's had a pair of 4th place finishes so far. Duhamel, on the other hand, the points leader, he has had 3 victories.
I'll tell you an old war story with Al Ludington, who wrenches for Miguel Duhamel. He and I were teamed on Vance & Hines Suzuki's back in 1988. Similar thing happened to me, Brian. I got a concussion and a bunch of bruised body parts. We're sitting on the grid for the race, and I had to ask Al Ludington whether we were out on 600 Supersport or 750 Supersport. I couldn't remember.
And you've got a whole passel of wins on these bikes too. 8, as I remember, on Supersport machines. Right now, Picott and Yates, the teammates, as we said, well, they ride the same bike. They tend under the same pit area. But, boy, they are competitors out on the racetrack. Here's Crevier. That's Duhamel's teammate. And he's chasing Hacking back there in 5th and 6th place. Those two guys got a nice little scrap going. Then it's Tom Kipp and Matt Waite and Rich Oliver running just behind Waite there on his 97 bike. Oliver has really been a breath of fresh air in the 600 class this year.
He sure has. He got a safety car there in turn 6, right in the impact zone. So the riders are definitely having to use some caution through there. I'm pretty sure there's a waving yellow for no passing. That's why these 4 are grouped together so nicely there. Tom Kipp leading the way here down through Rainy Curve.
Waving yellow. Those are 2 words that Pascal Picott and Aaron Yates don't even want to hear.
That's for sure. Matt Waite really pushing hard, losing the rear end there through 10.
And behind Oliver is Ben Bostrom. Of course, Bostrom and Waite had such a great rivalry last year on the 883s, both of them riding 600s last year and this year. They've both climbed off their 883 machines, and instead it is their brothers who have taken up the battle in the Harley-Davidson class.
That'd be Gator Waite and Eric Bostrom. Rich Oliver trying to find a way around Matt Waite right now. Here we are back on board with Ben Bostrom. Good look up at Rich Oliver.
Oliver on his Yamaha.
Matt Waite using all the racetrack, all the apron, and then some dirt.
Well, he's so aggressive, which of course has been both the good and the bad for Matt Waite. You want a rider to be aggressive, but sometimes that aggression ends up in a trip in the kitty litter.
Yeah, Oliver got by him into 4 there. He's working his way up now, back on his teammate, Yamaha teammate Tom Kipp's tail end there. Real crucial part of the circuit here up this hill. You got to get a solid drive and use all the racetrack. There's no other way around it. And one little slip, and like you say, you're off in the kitty litter. Here's Matt Waite looking up the inside of Oliver, decides to tuck back behind.
Oliver protecting the line, or able to get across in front of Waite there at the top of the corkscrew. Pretty tough place to get in, a fairly easy place to defend your position, I would think.
Right now, Matt Waite seems to be defending his position. He's using a very strange lines compared to Oliver. Sweeping, arcing, using all the racetrack. Matt Waite seems to be ducking for the apex a little bit earlier than the rest of these guys.
Coming out of 11 onto the long straightaway, as you said, a 200-yard drag race, the finish line right there. Turn 1, not so much a turn as just a little kink. Then into 2 is real hard on the brakes. And whoa, look at Waite sliding it around, backing her in. Bostrom right behind him. Crowd enjoying a beautiful sunny day here. Sunscreen is probably the most valuable commodity.
Into turn 4 now, Ben Bostrom trying to find a way past Matt Waite. You see Waite going over the white line of the racetrack there on most of the exits. That's because he's turning in too early. Still learning the ropes in this road racing game, but mighty aggressive rider here.
That's Matt Waite in front of Ben Bostrom, oh, we have a rider down here. This is turn 11.
Outside of turn 11.
Rocky Torres on the number 222. Down, he's kind of waving his hand anyway. Maybe just wants to lay there for a minute. Let's see what happened. This is Dave Wasson. Oh, and there's Torres laying right in front of him. Wasson goes off in the dirt.
That last tumble hit the right shoulder there pretty hard. Wasson from Seaside, California, almost had to go to Seaside to get around Rocky Torres.
Torres being led away by the corner workers. He is all right, but the race will continue without him. Turn 11 has claimed its first victim here at Laguna Seca Raceway. 600 action continues without Rocky Torres. We'll be back and keep up with the rest in a moment. Yamaha to its feet.
I thought I saw those corner workers do a duck and run there after they got Rocky Torres off. Oliver saying, I'm all set, get out of my way, I'm back in the race. Here's another look at it. Into 11, Oliver loses the front end. Both hands on the handlebars, keeps it revved and running. Never like to see anybody fall down, but it's kind of good. That's the first sign of combat Rich Oliver's seen in about 4 years of racing. Dominant in the 250 class, but it's all-out war in the 600 class.
Back up front, Aaron Yates and Pascal Picot probably unaware of the problem. Rich Oliver, they'll find him when they come around again if he hasn't already gotten back out into the race. Yates still getting the better of it, giving up that 8 pounds equals 1 horsepower and still getting the job done. On board with Ben Bostrom and his bird's eye view. 2 riders in front of him is Rich Oliver as they head down towards turn 11. Let's see if we can, whoa, there he goes.
Yeah, just trying to trail break it in there a little too deep. Front ends on 600s quite a bit different than the GP front ends on the 250s. You just can't get the same amount of feel on the front end of the 600, and of course there's 180 pounds more motorcycle that he's got to handle.
So Bostrom now trailing Matt Wade at the end of the straightaway into turn 2, coming out here up through the gears. They have continued on as Rich Oliver lies on the racetrack back in turn number 11, and
bang, right over the top of Matt Wade. Ben Bostrom had nowhere to go. Well, we got a replay and a current time wipeout on that onboard footage.
Well, keep in mind that they had continued on from the point where Rich Oliver, now here's Aaron Yates wheeling down the straightaway. And
we got a red flag. That means a red flag situation.
I was going to say, good guess.
Yeah, I hope that Matt Wade is okay. He took the full impact of a 420-pound motorcycle right on the back of the neck.
Red flags waving here. Now what this does is it gives Rich Oliver a real break, because if this red flag lasts long enough for him to get up back around to his pit and get his bike repaired, he can get back into the race. They will re-grid this one.
Exactly right, Brian, and he won't be penalized because he was not the cause of the red flag. Ben Bostrom should, or Matt Wade, should they be able to get back in this, they'll make those guys start at the back of the grid. And of course they'll re-grid this whole field according to the running order of the race.
There's Ben Bostrom's bike being put on the crash truck. Doesn't look too terribly damaged considering that he ran right over the motorcycle and perhaps the body of Matt Wade.
Yeah, Ben's bike definitely landed out in the gravel. He's got grass and other bits of Laguna Seca inside that front tire bead, so he'll be ordering up some new tires to get back in this one.
Strapping that one down, red flag situation. We can only imagine that either they're tending to Matt Wade over there in turn 3 or that there's some fluid on the racetrack. Here's Wade's bike. These guys are cleaning up the motorcycles, and there are corner workers, perhaps medical people, tending to Matt Wade. Tough crash. Let's take another look at this one. Remember, you're on board with Ben Bostrom right behind Matt Wade.
You're just coming out of turn 2 and you're setting the weight transfer here to turn 3. And Matt just seemed like he lost traction prematurely. I didn't see him grab a big handful of gas or nothing, but came right into the line of Ben Bostrom. Ben's got nowhere to go.
Just rode right over the motorcycle. It appeared like he was trying to aim for the best spot. One more time back on board here with Bostrom.
Following Ben down in, really reeling in Matt Wade. Matt Wade could have heard the engine noise of Ben Bostrom's machine and just tried to creep away a little bit here. But watch as they set the weight into this turn. You throw your shoulder down because it rolls off camber. There might be something down on the racetrack there, because that didn't look like Matt Wade had done anything. And a lot of guys are being challenged by that turn 3 all weekend long. There's Tom Kipp crashed twice there in Superbike qualifying. The Ducati that I was riding was slipping around quite a bit through there, so the pavement might be polished up pretty good through there.
Well, they're cleaning up the mess here, and as we said, it's kind of a break for Rich Oliver. Now, Larry Myers is caught up with Rich down on pit road.
Just quickly, as you're pulling your helmet off, I'll ask you what happened there.
Well, we just had a little slide out there, but I think that Yamaha's one tough machine because I can't seem to break it.
You okay, Rich?
I'm fine. I'm just disappointed. I was running with Tom, and we were moving up through the field, but, you know, I just trying a little too hard, just fell off. So we're going to put it back together and put some fresh tires on it and go out there, and hell, we'll try to catch up as much as we can. Thanks.
Well, there's Jeff Myers working desperately on the bike. Of course, these guys don't know how long the red flag will last, but in any case, they're doing the best they can to get it back together. Now, keep in mind, there was a crash there earlier with Rocky Torres went down. Might have been a little something down in turn 11, too.
Could have been. When's the last time you saw Rich Oliver huffing and puffing? He's getting workout. One more time on board with Ben Bostrom.
Ouch.
What happened out there?
Going around turn 3, the back end stepped out on me, and I felt like, I thought it was just going to be a low slide, and then another bike behind me ran over me, and I thought I broke my arm. It hurt so bad it started tingling and felt like a broken arm, but fortunately it's not, and hopefully I'll make it back in the race and do the best that I can.
Is that arm going to allow you to get back in the race?
Yeah, it should. Right now it's just burning from the abrasions. I think I caught it on the gator bumps as I was sliding across them, and it ripped my glove off and just kind of lacerated a little bit. But all in all, I feel all right. Track's a little slippery, so I guess I'll take it easy next time.
Well, Brian, if Matt Waite can get through this season, he'll be able to get through anything. Guy's so talented and so aggressive. It's just he's having one of those seasons where you're on your head more than you are on your tires.
And he's so tough, too. Here comes Ben Bostrom back from turn 3, hustling around to see if he can get back in this race. It is still under a red flag condition, so if they hustle, they will be able to get back in the race. Right now, though, we're going to take a little bit of a break. Aaron Yates leads it over Pascal Picot. Duhamel is now 3rd, and we hope to get back underway in a moment.
When you were a kid, you couldn't wait to grow up. When I'm big, you thought, I'll do whatever I want. Answer only to myself. Well, now you're here. Adulthood. So what happened to that part about answering to yourself? The Vulcan 1500 Classic, with the biggest V-twin on the road. It's as far from the grindstone as you can get.
Motel 6 is renovating all across America. You'll find free local calls, morning coffee, so much new stuff we had to speed things up just to fit it all in. I'm Tom Bodette for the new Motel 6, and
we'll leave the light on for you.
For official motorcycle fan gear of top teams and riders from around the world, call Team Line for your free catalog. 1-800-378-TEAM, G-E-A-M, or check us out on the web.
Motel 6 is renovating all across America. You'll find free local calls, morning coffee, so much new stuff we had to speed things up just to fit it all in. I'm Tom Bodette for the new Motel 6, and
we'll leave the light on for you.
That's beautiful.
Our Redbirds hit Shea Stadium to outmuscle the Mets. Monday at 6:30 on Fox Sports Midwest. If you missed Fox Sports News this week, you missed the first ever Fox Flash through a world of big cash.
I'm here to compete, I'm here to win, and that's more important.
And baseball teams fine-tuning for the stretch run before the trading deadline. We're everywhere, all the time, and we take you there 7 days a week.
Oh, you just made that up.
Wherever there's a free fall, a free swinger, a free agent, or a free spirit, at Fox Sports News, we are there.
They're gridding them up for the restart here at Laguna Seca Raceway after the incident involving Ben Bostrom and Matt Waite over in turn 3, and they will re-grid by the running order. So Yates and Picot will start from the front row. You're back on board with Ben here. He's got to hustle to get back to the starting line himself.
Bike's repaired, and our onboard camera crew takes a licking and keeps on ticking here. Ben Bostrom hustling around to get to the grid. You know his tires are going to be hot. This might play out to his advantage. No front fender on the machine.
Apparently that was the only casualty to the bike that they couldn't repair. A couple of more turns and he'll see the rest of the grid up in front of him. There he goes around 11. And here he comes up from the back. Now he was running in the top 10, so we expect that he'll pull up there to about the 3rd row. And it's interesting that they're going to allow him to start that far forward. Yeah. Technically he didn't cause the red flag.
Right, but he was involved with the red flag incident, so it is a judgment call. Call himself blessed on this day.
He'll start alongside his brother once again. He had passed Eric during the race, so he gets a little bit better starting position this time. They were the opposite when they started the first time. Wow, Duhamel got a great start from the front row. That's all he needed was to be up front, and he took off like a rocket ship.
I think the pain's out of his body. Here goes Yates around the outside. I was going to say, watch out for Duhamel. Yates is taking heed to that. He does not want to have Miguel Duhamel lead a lap around this racetrack. So that will allow the whole field to bunch up behind him. Yates able to split.
And Ben Bostrom right behind Rich Oliver, who did get back in the race. So Oliver and Bostrom are back in. Matt Waite is not. And Aaron Yates is leading, but no Pascal Picot. There he is in 4th spot.
It's Mike Smith in 3rd. We look back there now. Picot 4th. Jamie Hacking 5th.
So a little bit of a different running order here, but you would have to expect that Pascal Picot, the fast qualifier, by 0.4 of a second over Yates, won't waste a whole lot of time in getting back up towards the front.
No, that's for sure. We saw a glimpse of the 24 Mark Miller now up into the, I believe it was the 7th position. Mark Cernicki, your Huntington Beach privateer, bringing up the mid-pack.
Here's Duhamel and then Smith. But Aaron Yates is the leader, just as he was at the very first time in the very first lap when they did it originally. And just about the same gap, but this time it's on Duhamel rather than his teammate Picot.
I'm impressed with Mark Miller now running up with the factory guys. Watch the 24 bright orange Suzuki. Mike Smith with a little tail dancing into turn 2.
Pascal Picot, so smooth. Some of these other guys will slide it all around. Picot just rails it around the track there. Doesn't get a whole lot of, as you say, tail dancing going on his Suzuki.
Aaron Yates already out to a full 1 second lead right now over Duhamel.
There's Picot in 4th spot. A nice little group of 3 racing for 2nd place now. It's probably going to take a lap or 2 for these guys to kind of settle in again after the intermission.
Eric Bostrom now up on the back of Jamie Hacking.
That's 5th and 6th spot.
And the number 120 Zero Gravity Honda.
That's right. He apparently is doing a little bit better job here after the restart. He started alongside his brother Ben, but Eric's all the way up to the front. Ben's back deep in the top 10 again.
Mike Smith with a nice line down through Rainy Curve here. He might have a shot at Duhamel as they head into turn 11. It's just going to be a matter of who wants to be the boldest on the brakes. Nobody does.
Oh, Smith dancing the back tire.
Got the front end bottomed out. That's why he's not confident in his hard braking entry. Smith, when he won out here, his bike did not dance around like that. He's going to have to sort it out there and maybe transfer some weight at a little slower rate. You can see him. He's got trouble braking. Picot around him, no problem.
Picot takes over 3rd spot, moves Mike Smith back to 4th. Doesn't look as though Smith will come under attack from anybody else real soon, because there's quite a gap behind him to the 5th place machine. And that is now Eric Bostrom, who's gotten around Hacking.
It's a fine line in the setup here for this track, Brian. There's really no straightaway. Every turn is connected to the next turn. You're always at some kind of angle or always making a steering input, and you usually will raise up the back of the motorcycle to make the steering sharp. And if you go too much, you lose the rear end traction. It transfers too much weight to the front wheel. That could be what Mike Smith is experiencing.
Aaron Yates having no difficulty whatsoever on this racetrack. The setup is fine, and the